Let's talk about the builder pattern. A builder pattern is basically a design pattern. And a design pattern is just a general repeatable solution to a commonly occurring problem. Think of it this way. Back in the day when programmers were dealing with problems, and these problems, they were basically some of the, not all the problems, but they're a category of problems that were very, very similar, and they were basically solving them the same way. Different programmers were solving it the same way, and there was no standardization, no names for how they were solving it. So whenever they were talking about how they were solving it, they had to kind of like talk about the solution as opposed to just saying the name of a certain pattern that we're using, right? So it's just difficult to communicate. There was a bunch of repetition. So in order to make a standard of a specific solution, and in order to make the communication a lot clearer, they came out with design patterns because it said we can solve these category of problems this same way. And how about we just give it a name so that whenever we're talking about how we're going to solve them, instead of just talking about the solution, let's talk about the name, right? Makes communication a lot easier, makes it standardized so that people can see, oh, okay, I know what you're talking about, and this is how it's going to be solved, right? So in general, it just makes it a lot clearer to communicate. And also just gets rid of a bunch of duplication because you don't have to reinvent the wheel over and over and over again. You just use a tested, tried and true way that you know will work. So that's why design patterns have been made, and builder pattern is one of the design patterns. There are many, many more. And specifically design, or rather builder pattern, allows us to build complex objects using simple objects and using a step-by-step approach. So for example, in our simple web scraper project, I've created a class called person just to show you the problem, and then we will see how builder pattern solves that problem. So let's open up person. And you see person has a bunch of properties on it. The first name, last name, age, eye color, hair color, and all of these are there, and we're setting them right here. So you can already see that the properties can grow. The number of properties can grow because person has so much more. I mean, we can specify height, we can specify, just different parts of the person and how wide they are and different personality characteristics, a bunch of stuff that we can specify in here, right? And you see that the constructor will just grow and grow and grow and grow. So having it that way actually is not very clean, because think about it this way. If we go here and we say person 1 equals new person, and then we try to specify, let's say first name, John, let's say Smith, age 30, eye color, we're just going to specify a value in here. Let's say it's some RGB value, so I will basically, it's just a number, it doesn't have to be valid, we're just basically putting in a color. Could have been a string, but in this case we're providing it as RGB. Okay, so you see there's also a lot of just a bunch of properties, and it can grow and grow and grow. Now what if we want to make another person, and the first name is the same, the last name is the same, and just the age is different, right? And then we also want to make another person. Still same first name, same last name, just the only difference is that it has, a different age. So it's like 39. You see that there's a lot of duplication. That's the first problem, right? There's just a lot of duplication going on here. So what if we want to change, then John changes, and we're like, oh, okay, but this also has to change for all of them. We basically have to go, because John is kind of like, or rather Smith, right? So Smith is like a family last name, and all of them share the same last name. Weirdly, they also have the first name that they share. But the last name now, we have to go in and we have to change. We have to go and we have to change. Oh, okay, well, now it's something else, right? Let's say Smith 2. So we have to basically change it to that. Obviously, it's never going to be Smith 2. It's never going to be valid last name, but we can go ahead and do that, and we have to do it in all these places. Now imagine if we have it in like hundreds of places that we have to change it to. That can get very hairy. Now, the other part is, what if we start growing our properties? You can already see the problem with this, because what if this person has like 50 properties? Now we have to go and set that into constructor each and every time. And what if the constructor shares a lot of those properties? Then we have to basically, copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. There's a lot of code duplication. And remember, don't repeat yourself. Yes, we're definitely not following the best practices here. So that's the problem. It's just that if the properties start growing for certain objects, for certain complex objects, we're going to have a lot of properties. And in order to build that, we're going to have to find a way in which we can do it a lot simpler and with less code duplication. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a builder for our person class. I will go ahead and say, right click on that, add new item, and then just say person builder. So I will say person builder. Okay, so now we have the class for it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a person, grab all the stuff that we need for constructing a person. And I'm just going to put it right here. Just comment it out, Control KC. And then let's see the next step. So I'm going to create private properties. I'm going to say private, and then string, and then first name. Remember, private properties have the underscore. That's just a common convention. You can follow it or not, but it's good to follow it since a lot of people follow the same convention. So it's just good to keep it consistent. And I'm basically making all of these private. So I'm going to say last name here. I'm going to say private, int, and then age, lowercase, because private eye color, so int eye color, and then I'm going to do the same thing for hair color, and that's it, right? So these are the private properties. Now then I'm going to say public and person builder. So this is a constructor for our builder class. It's the person builder. And the person builder will have a method called setDefaults. And it doesn't exist yet, but that's okay. We're going to create it right now. So you can just say generate method. And that's going to be another private method. And within that, we're just copy paste all these guys. Within that, obviously, we don't need the access specifiers and the types. Just need the name of the variables. I'm just kind of like, this is a trick to, not have to write it myself. So it just makes it a little faster, that's all. And then I'm going to set the default. So I'm going to say John, and I'm going to say Smith, right? And then age, I'm going to say Sturdy. I'm going to say 145, whatever it was in here. Let's say 153 and 153. Was it 153? Oops. So 153 and 153. That is correct. Okay, so that's it. Now we have set the defaults. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's have methods that will allow us to change these values. So I'm going to say public person builder. And I will go over this part because it's very, very important in just a second. So I'm going to say with first name. And this will say return person builder. You will see all of this, or we'll say return this. I will go over all this in just a minute, so just bear with me. First name, string, first name, so that's that. And let's do the same thing for last name. So it's going to be last name and last name and last name, and last name. And we can do the same thing for age. With age, obviously it's an int in this case, and age here, just underscore. So that's the age. And I don't think I need these anymore, so I'll take it out of the way. And then eye color, and eye color with eye color. Lastly, we're going to say hair color. So this is a lot of manual grunt work just to create the builder, but you'll see how great it is afterwards. So hair color. And at the end, we say public person build. Now we say person equals new person. And then within that, we can say, so let's see, the first name is first. And last name and age, so let's do just that. We'll say first name and last name and age and eye color and hair color. So afterwards, we'll say return person. Let's take a look at this. So this is our builder, and then we can go to program, and now we can use our person builder. So see this? We can just say person, new person builder, and then we can just say build. How about that? And then we can say the same thing for this guy, but this is 35, right? So what we do is we say the only thing that needs to be changed on this is the age, and we can just set it to 35. And then the same thing for this guy, but it's just the age is 39. See that? So there you go. So how much cleaner does this look? And obviously, if we need to change the first name and the last name, and it's very different for each and every one of them, obviously we also have to change that for, you know, and say for this first one and the second one and the third one, we have to change the first name and last name. However, if everything else stays the same, then we don't need to specify that because that's taken care of in the defaults right here. And if any more properties we add on to the person, then we don't have to jam more things into the constructor when we're creating the person. We can just use the person builder, and the person builder will take care of that. So we are abstracting away the functionality of how to create a person. This is also abstraction because the person builder has person inside of it. And the person, the way it's creating a person is abstracted away. So there's a layer of abstraction. The program here says, I want a person. Well, okay, the person builder can do that for you by just saying build. It'll, you know, create the default person. And when you come here, this is how it's creating the person. This is the actual creation of the person, but it's abstracted away. And then inside of the person, we have these access specifiers or whatever else, and this is encapsulation. So it's through encapsulation, we get the level of abstraction that we want, right? So this is just, once again, I'm bringing these concepts back again and again, just so you see them in different scenarios so they click better. So let's actually look at the builder pattern. First, we have our private properties, or basically we have our fields rather that represent our properties. So we have private our fields, and they're all private, and then we have a constructor for our builder. Within that, we set the defaults. So we set the defaults for all these fields, and you can have as many fields as you want, doesn't matter. And then you have methods for mocking out these fields specifically for all the fields. So one for first name, one for last name, one for age, one for eye color, one for hair color, right? And notice this, all of them return back a builder, so that the reason we're doing that is so that you can chain a lot of these. So if I say with age 35, I don't need to say build. I can say, hey, well, also dot with something else. So if I say dot, it's going to give me an opportunity to change something else. So I can change the, the first name as well. I just pass in the first name. Anything else I want, just pass in Avidas, right? So it doesn't matter. You can change and chain many of these methods together. That's why we're returning back the actual object, which is the person builder, right? That's a key part to notice. And then at the end, we're saying return this. Now, the this reserved keyword just simply says the moment you have access, the moment you have initialized this class and you have the object instance, this keyword just represents that object instance, right? So it just says this whole thing. That's what this means, right? And if we go to the person, this first name means that it's person's first name. That's what this means. Once the person has been instantiated, it's that person's first name. That's what this says. So that it knows that it's talking about the first name, and the first name here have the same, basically they're spelled out the same. So it's this dot first name says it's the person's first name that's going to equal to the first name that's passed in from the user from the outside. Okay, so that's basically it. That's the builder pattern. It's a beautiful design pattern, and we're going to be using it when we're writing our simple web scraper application.